Howdy chaps, and welcome back to Graham's Restorations, where we are tackling part 2 of the XD roof skin. It would have been nice to have got it all done in one video, but world events sort of kicked us in the pants quite spectacularly, so it had to be split up. Yeah. Oh well, I'll show you what's happened. Some stuff has happened in the background because the roof skin went off and got lovelified, and I'll show you where we're getting to and what we're planning on doing throughout this video. Alrighty, so this is where we got to. The roof skin has been metal finished by my good buddy Aaron, who runs, I don't know if this is going to show, but this is the only way. I don't have any business cards of him yet, but Buzz Auto Body, he's in Lonsdale as well, and he is a fellow panel beater I worked with, has his own little shop, and he is a whip at metal finishing. So he took all the dents out of that roof skin for me. I believe he doesn't really like rust that much, so you know, everybody's got their loves and hates, and I don't blame him for hating rust. But yeah, he's very good at European cars, sort of Mercedes-Benzes and things like that. Very, very talented and incredibly good at metal finishing. So there was a big dent in here, and he took it out, and there is no bog in that. It is absolutely perfect. So when that goes on the car, it'll be perfect. So I thought I'd give him a huge shout out. He's only recently started out, so give him some love. He's on Facebook. I don't think he does anything else, so give his Facebook page a good check out. He's very, very talented. So he did that for me, which was very good. So yeah, during the lockdown he was able to do that in his, well no, he didn't do it in lockdown, he did it yesterday, but yeah. So first things first, we're going to take this, put it on the bench and fix this section. But what we might do is continue where we were in the last video, is pick all these bits completely apart. I've got this one to do, I've got the other corner, and then once I've got them all separated in their individual pieces, then I might start tackling the repairing of them and then the installing of them, because I've still got to pick off this lip that's through here, and it goes across here, and then rebuild that one. But what we're going to do is, see the crossover of them, if I chop this one sort of through here, it should join up quite nicely once it's sandblasted through there. So that's what we're attempting to do. We're going to put like that much on in one go, which should work fairly well. And yeah, I've got to remind myself to stop. When I'm filming, I have a problem where I'm looking at something but the camera isn't looking at it, so we're looking at two different things while I'm talking about something. So I've got to make sure that I'm actually looking at the right thing when talking. But you know, I'm still learning this YouTube stuff. So that's where we're going to get to. So we're going to pick this apart now. So catch you up in a second. Alrighty, after many hours hammering, chiseling, drilling, grinding, I have separated all of the pieces. Now I didn't film it because I thought it was horrendously boring and unnecessary to show. So we got this one. These all need to be sandblasted and treated and made pretty, but made pretty. That one's there. We're not going to put the whole thing in because, well, if we go much past there, we'll have to brace the car up, otherwise when we go joining it there, it's going to have some issues. So what we'll do is we'll just do as smaller piece as possible, just in here somewhere. Still replace the whole thing, but it'll just be a play it by ear type thing. Got me vice grips. Got to get one more of these guys, because these are going to go when it's time, and the panel bonding, these are going to go in the gutter to hold the roof skin to the gutter while everything dries. So I only had 3 of those and I needed 6, so I've gotten 2 more. I've got to get one more. This one's fairly straightforward. We probably didn't need to do that bit, but I'll probably do it anyway. And this one is going to be a fun one to put in. Also, I'll whittle that down a bit closer to the actual end result. It's interesting to note that these Look how chronic they are inside. I was going to say, if you're restoring one of these cars, I'd probably recommend, I don't exactly know how the hell you would wire wheel in there or something, but treat inside your pillars if you can, because you could come up through holes like this and spray some anti-rust inside the roofs of your car, because that's pretty bad. And obviously, you know, we've got the back one here. So what I'm going to do next is trim off the remnants of the old roof and keep on keeping on. Yeah, alrighty chaps, we're up to, this has just been through the sandblaster, and we're going to now sit here and fix it by whittling up this little piece that we're going to weld into here, and then do another little piece here, and then we're actually going to trim this across here, basically just trimming off the rusty bit, throw that out, fix this up, obviously with this like I just said, and then we're going to glue this into the car once we take the one in the car out, and it'll be fairly straightforward. Right, so now all my bits are ready to go. They've all been blasted, they've all been copper sprayed where they need to be. This one was repaired, a little hole to fill there, but I'll do that once it's on. So, yes, making good progress. I hope you enjoyed the time lapse I did of that one. Luckily, that's the only one that needed to be repaired. These are all cut and paste jobbies. I've got to trim this off, the excess old roof skin. I've got to go through here and do that, and get the rest of that one off, and then we'll be tackling this very shortly. But obviously the shop has still got to do other things at the same time, so I got tasked with doing a toolbox, which is going to be hard to show the shine, but it actually come out pretty good. Oh yeah. And not too shabby. I wasn't told to do the inside, so I didn't do it, and I'm glad I didn't. But yes, that's got painted the same colour the XY ute was going to be, and it turned out to be that was the best way to paint the toolbox, with the lid open and be able to get all inside those areas. But you know, that came out pretty good. Hardly any trash in it. It's amazing when you it's always the way when you go with when you don't actually care too much about cleanliness, you get nothing in your jobs. When you go nuts and try and get everything spotless, you get tons of crap in it. But this has got hardly anything. No runs, nothing. I was like, really? But doesn't matter. The chap who's that's going to was pretty stoked. He gave me this. It was a tin box, rattle canned with like zinc paint. So I had to sand all that off, edge prime it, scotch it, 2-pack prime, rub that down, and then paint it, and it came out very good. But yes, there's obviously other stuff happening in the background. Also went to my favourite wreckers for late model Falcon stuff and limousine. Also, a little shout out to my buddy WA. Got some door trims and some seats for the ute. The seats in it are heavily worn. They're not probably perfectly alright for a daily driver, but this ute is, and I've said it 100 times, is going to be 10 times better than any others that are going at the same time. So I sourced some beautiful conditioned XR6 FG seats and matching door trims. Obviously they look a bit higgledy-piggledy in here. So these don't have any bolts to wear. That's the driver's seat, look at that. And I got a tail light because the one on the ute has got a crack right through there, and obviously the Rego mob won't pass that. And because I'm going from leather to cloth, I had to get the matching door trim, so they're all, I just can't get over how good they were. 450 bucks for the seats and door trims. Can't go wrong. So nice. That's gonna really lift the inside of that car. I mean, the seats that were in it weren't too bad. They just had where the leather folds over a long time, little, like, not splits, but the colouring of the leather had come off, so you could see, like, I guess you'd call it the raw leather, but the cloth seats are way nicer, and they match the colour that was in the car. So they got blue stitching and the blue XR, and the leather seats had the same stuff, so they are going to look absolutely minter in there. So yeah, I'm quite proud of that. I've got some other bits, all the last few odds and ends. I still got to get a couple more, but I have to buy them new because the wreckers won't sell me the bonnet trim on its own, unfortunately. But that was a killer score. And if you need late model Falcon stuff, go hit up Limousine because they're pretty good. Oh, and my good bud Aaron, who I mentioned earlier in this video, came past just before and gave me a hat. How good is that? I really have to do my own merchandise at some point, but for now I'll help other people. I just don't know how to do it. I don't know any contacts or anything like that, so yeah, we'll keep on cracking and get into, now that we've done all the bits, now we can actually start putting them in, and then we'll have to probably catch up in the next video because it's going to be too hot. This week is astronomical. Probably by the end of the video, if we got all the sections off, the area prepped and the roof ready to go on, I think that'll be very, very good. So stay tuned. So it's another day. As you well know, this video is going to be very interesting. It's going to be spread over a few days, and it's going to be an interesting video. Hopefully I can edit together into something reasonable. It's about 1,000 degrees today. Good job. So I'm starting off with the most simple repair, get myself in the mood. Hello. So 2 cuts, slice that out, grind down all the surface rust that was here, grind down all this stuff. I'll give it a good clean up a bit more, and we're going to start with something very basic. We're just going to trim a piece of tin out to that shape, copper spray here, copper spray the back side of the new piece, and glue that in. When I say glue, it's just a saying I say, but when I say glue, I mean welded in. But occasionally I will say glue and mean glue. It's up to you to figure it out. But yes, we're going to do that piece right now, and I'll catch you up in a second. There we have it, kids, all done. I've also got my die grinder bit in a drill and just cleaned out all the rust that was in here and along around the creeping edge under these seams that had just started. Ground off all the other surface rust so there's nothing left. I'm going to copper spray that now, and then I'm going to wire wheel just all the loose flaky stuff off in here. Continue plicking off the roof skin, old roof skin over that side, and I'm going to brush on some anti-rust paint over the top of these frames, all on the inside of this roof skin, so that, you know, it might make the roof last a bit longer. But that came out pretty good. A reason I didn't film that one, I just went from here's the piece to here's the end, is it's super simple. It's basically a flat piece of steel, drilled out 4 holes into the fresh piece so that I could do 4 plug welds like what was there, and trimmed it from the old one, stuck it in, just welded, ground flat, done. And obviously copper sprayed between the seams. So I will re-copper spray here because the roof skin, I believe, comes down to about here somewhere. So you just see this, well, actually considering that's the spot, the roof skin must come down about here. You'll only see the very bottom edge of this. Well, actually you won't see any of it because it'll eventually have a piece of plastic trim that goes across and covers everything up. But still, you want to get this right because the roof sits on top of this. So the next piece is copper spray, wire wheel all this sort of, yeah, see? All this flaky, I don't really know what the paint is, it must be a really old E-coat or something. Just flake it off, blow it out, and then I will brush paint some anti-rust enamel paint in there, so it's going to last forever. Because you know, we're going to try and make it last a long time. And then the next thing we're going to do is going to tackle that corner. So this corner's done. We'll go to that corner, and then we'll do the fronts. And we'll get that all done in this video, I reckon. So a bit of an update. I've copper sprayed that. I've wire wheeled this section anyway, and coated it with some this stuff I found to be quite good. Direct to rust. I don't know how many years protected it is. Apparently it's blob protectant, but it seems to work very well. I've never had any issues with it, and it's better than what the factory left in there, which was virtually nothing, and it goes directly on rust, and that's what I like. So from here to here, and that is all done. I have also chopped out the remnants of the old piece. Whoops. Yep, I belt sanded off the spot welds because it's just quicker and easier. And now I'm just going to clean up here. It looks rusty, but it is actually solid despite what it looks like. I'll just zap up that little hole there and grind these all flat, wire wheel in there, and then paint in there a bit as well, so it's all coated. I've trimmed up this piece so this can go in there. When it's clamped on, it fits beautifully, and that solves that issue. And then I'll clean along that edge and then copper spray that, and then we can shift along to the front. This one will be the tricky one because there's this layer and this layer, so I'll have to do some creative thinking, and I've got to get this old piece off here, but we'll catch that up once I've tackled this piece. So what we're going to do now is wire wheel, clean off these flanges, weld up that little hole there, get them all ready for copper spray. This is already ready. I need to put some copper spray there, and then I'll just drill out some plug weld holes there and through there, and then we can weld that back on. I might figure out the best way to film that, but you know, figure it out. So if you saw from that wonderful time lapse, we've now got the donor section in that came from that XF at You Pull It. I coated in there with this anti-rust paint, and then obviously copper sprayed it, stuck that on, welded it on, ground the welds down, and now I've recoated around it. I'm going to just grind this surface rust off here. No, that's meant to be there. Little dip to tell you that's the middle of the car. Grind the paint off, or surface rust, whatever. Coat from here all the way to there. And copper spray, repaint through here like this with the anti stuff, and then we can move forward and see if we really tackle this one or the other one. I think we might do the other one first because that doesn't require two large sections. Only requires one large section. And I have to play this one by ear because the panel joins just here, so I don't know whether I'm going to stick an extra reinforcement between the two pillars temporarily, so that when I cut this, the car doesn't decide it wants to change shape. But we'll have to play it by ear. It all depends on how much we get done today. I'd like to ideally have these two next corners done before the end of the video, but it's really hot today. It all depends, but we are making good progress because I mean, all that looking absolutely lovely. So yes, I mean I've already done through here, so just got to do that much there, and then paint, and then we can move forward. So making good progress. Right, you've noticed that I've got the old roof skin lip off from the front and the back now. I've welded in a reinforcement bar because I have a distinct feeling that if I was to hack this out, that the car would change shape, and I really don't want that to happen. It's not too hard to do that. I got it in there ever so slightly crooked, but it doesn't matter as long as it keeps it in its current shape. So what I'm going to do now is get my new piece and sit on here and figure out where I'm going to cut and join it. Fairly straightforward really, it should be just a cut and paste type deal. So just, there's a stack of spot welds through here and then they stop because there's nothing under that. So they're only through here, through here, a couple in here and there. So, and that should come out. I'm thinking I'll need to just have a bit of a thought pattern as to how I'm going to tackle that, but it shouldn't be too hard. While this is out, I can obviously clean up behind here and make sure that bit is all good. And if I take this out, or at least this section which leaves this floating loosely, the pillars should still stay the same because this square tube is in there holding the pillars. I was thinking about going, it shouldn't move. Probably didn't need this, but it's a safety measure. It's sort of a never hurts to be absolutely certain that it's not going to change shape. It shouldn't change shape going backwards and forwards because these roof rails are in still and they're still attached, and it shouldn't in theory widen or narrow because that middle one's in as well. But you know, just to be safe, this one's in now and I'll take that out once it's all done. And of course we'll ultimately always trial fit the roof and the windscreen just prior to everything being done so that we know that it's 100%. So that's where we're going to tackle. If I can get this one done, I think I'll wrap the video up there, I think, and then I'll just do a little bit on the next one, but making good progress. Alrighty chaps, I'm going to wrap up this part 2 of this roof rebuild here, mainly because my wrist is starting to fail quite spectacularly and I don't really want to become an invalid. But we got the old section out, ended up looking, it didn't really come willingly, and because it was so rusty you couldn't see any spot welds. So we got this one. Obviously this is flattened a little bit as it came off the other piece, but it should just drop in. And the upside about having this bar in here, when I cut that, nothing happened. It didn't even like flinch. And obviously I cut that a bit short for the meantime just in case I want to give myself a bit of wiggle room, but at a quick glance we are nearly there. The other side will be worse because we've got to then, once we get this piece off, we've got to repair this bit on the other side, but that'll be for another day. So this is where I'm ending this video. If you've made it this far, kudos to you. If not, well, you know, you're missing out. Stay tuned for the next part, that'll be next week, and some more FG videos probably over the weekend. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.